Welcome back to another episode to Rising, a podcast that has been created for women to share their stories, for other women to share, to have them feel empowered, learn new experiences, and find their true happiness. So today I have two special guests. I'm very fortunate to have two college students on the podcast. One of them is Katherine and the other is MacKenna. Katherine goes to University of Kentucky and MacKenna goes to Ole Miss. I'm going to throw it over to Katherine first to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Katherine. I'm from Chicago originally, like the suburbs of Chicago, and I'm a freshman at the University of Kentucky, like Christine was saying, and I'm studying marketing right now.
MacKenna?
Hi, everyone. I'm a senior at the University of Mississippi. I'm also originally from Chicago. Me and Katherine went to the same high school, so we're from Lake Zurich, Illinois. I am studying integrated marketing communications with an emphasis in general business and a minor in political science.
What is integrated marketing? I've never heard of that before.
It's actually so funny. I was just talking with my professor about this the other day. Integrated marketing communications is like a mix between like the business side of marketing and then the journalism and like media side of a juror school or like creative media and writing and stuff like that. But Ole Miss is one of the only schools in the nation that has that degree track. So it's kind of unique to the university.
Is that why you chose it?
Partially, yeah, actually. A lot of marketing tends to be analytics and tracking data, and I'm not the biggest fan of numbers, so I wanted to take more of like an editorial route.
Awesome. And then do you know what you want to do with integrated marketing degree? Like, is there a certain job that you're trying to get?
Yeah, I definitely want to work in legal firm or government roles, which is where my political science background kind of came into play. I'm coming out of college, but I might like start smaller with like an agency. So we'll see where it takes me.
Very cool. I've never heard of that. So, Katherine, why did you pick marketing as your major?
Honestly, I don't have a good answer to that. I did not know like anything about like the major prior to coming to college. But my dad was in business and my mom was also in business. So I was like, I want to go that route. It's the only route like I know and I'm familiar with. So I was like, okay, marketing sounds like interesting to me. And a lot of women actually are in marketing. So it makes sense.
So when you were in high school, we'll go Katherine first. Why did you pick your college? Like maybe talk through what that process was like. For a lot of high school students today, it's very overwhelming, right? And you both went a pretty good distance from Illinois, Kentucky, and Mississippi especially, and that takes a lot of confidence to do that. But maybe Katherine, why don't you start? Walk us through kind of what you were thinking of when you were thinking of colleges and how you made your decision to go to Kentucky.
Okay, so it was actually a really weird like process for me because I knew always I wanted to go far. Like I wanted to go to Boulder. Like that was like my goal was Boulder, but then obviously like the financial part just didn't make sense for me. So I was like searching all these colleges and I think in my head I really wanted to go to a college that like represented me academically and like what I did throughout high school. Like I had great grades and I participated in so many clubs and I wanted to like show that off based off like the level of like the nice college like I went to. Like everyone's like, oh, the lower the acceptance rate, obviously like you're gonna get in, then you're like it proves yourself. So like I was going off that probably my whole like senior year and like that was like not good for my mental health because when I didn't get into these colleges with low acceptance rates, like I let that define me in a way. So Kentucky was never on my radar like until the last month that I had to like say I was like whatever applying. Like I had to like commit to it. So I committed to Kentucky last minute after I visited and I was like, okay, it's the Southern vibe that I wanted because I originally wanted to go to Tennessee, but I did not get into Tennessee. So I was like, okay, kind of gives off those vibes and it's a great school. It's a big school. I wanted to go to a big school with a lot of people and meet new people. And it's definitely Southern because we're from like the Midwest and I wanted to try something new. So that was like my experience. But yeah, it was a long process.
So why did you want to go to Boulder?
Okay, I don't know if it was like mainly for like the scenery of it and just like getting away because no one from my high school went like goes to Boulder. It was like maybe one a year and I wanted to be different. I hate like following where everyone else goes. Like a lot of people from me and MacKenna's like school, we went to Iowa. And that was like also I really loved the school Iowa, but I was like I can't follow everyone from my school. So I was like Boulder, it's far. I loved it's great academically. Like the business series like there is very good. And then I was like yeah, I'd love to see her.
Why didn't you want to follow where other people were going? Like, what made you think you wanted to do something different?
I don't know. Like, I think it was just like, I hate being the same as everyone else. Like, I just that's just not who I am. And I wanted like prove like it's like a way of proving myself kind of in a way,
Yeah,
like not following the trends of my high school. Like I just never wanted to do that. I don't know.
that's awesome. And are you happy with your choice so far?
Yeah, I am. I am happy.
So McKenna, maybe talk us through your high school, like your thoughts of like, hey, where am I going to go? What am I going to do?
So actually, me and Katherine joke about this all the time. Even though I'm a senior in college and she's a freshman in college, we're only a year apart in age, which is crazy.
Oh
I
my
know.
gosh.
We're only a year apart. And so I joke all the time. I'm like, you are living my life to a T. There's so many things that go on between the two of us that like are so similar. And I had pretty much the same exact experience as Katherine when it came to picking colleges. I was very involved in high school. I mean, we were both varsity dancers, both involved in clubs, great GPAs, like great SAT scores. I also wanted to go far just because I didn't want to limit myself, like kind of the same idea. Don't want to follow everybody to Iowa. Didn't really want to like stay in the Midwest. I had a lot of like life-changing moments that went on when I was applying for schools and stuff, so I think it like pushed me to kind of be like, "Hey, this is your chance to start over." So I wanted a new experience too. So I started looking at southern schools, but I really wanted to get into Tennessee. And so I got waitlisted from Tennessee and also wanted to do marketing there. Got waitlisted from Tennessee. And then my mom was like, hey, I think you should do like maybe 2 or 3, just like last round applications just to see like what you can get back so you have options. Discovered Ole Miss, immediately booked a flight, came here, loved the town, loved what the campus looked like. The people were so nice. I was like, okay, this is definitely somewhere I can see myself. Got into Ole Miss, and I think I was also looking at the grades and, like, the acceptance rates and everything, but this was the first place where I was like, I could actually see myself living here, and I think that's a huge key part of why I chose Ole Miss, and the day I signed all of those forms, all the FAFSA stuff, I got accepted into Tennessee.
No way.
Yes, and so I was at a crossroads because I got so much money. My dad's a 20-year veteran. I got so much money from the school, like, it made sense financially, like, I already knew I liked it, but, like,
Oh
Tennessee
my
had been on my
gosh.
radar for so long. So I ended up coming to Ole Miss, and yeah, I mean, I was really wanting just a chance to prove that, like, I can be my own person, if that makes sense.
So what changed though? Why did you not you got into Tennessee, why didn't you go back and attend Tennessee?
So I never actually toured Tennessee. I loved the
Okay.
concept. So I have family that lives in Tennessee too, and they love, 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 love the school. They're very passionate about it. So I think that was like a big factor that they had so much love for Tennessee.
Mhm.
And my cousin now goes to University of Chattanooga, and she loves it even more there. But the state in itself is beautiful.
Yep.
And I know a couple of girls who go there now that like really love it. But I don't know. I just stuck with Ole Miss, and it ended up being a really good experience.
It's interesting because both of you in a different way, instead of following, what everyone else was doing, Catherine from everyone going to Iowa or McKenna, your family loved Tennessee. Like that was probably the easy button or the easy path you both could have taken. But you both, for some whatever reason, inside of you, you wanted to be different. You wanted to try something new. And I do think you can only do that if you have confidence. So it's interesting that you both, it didn't match kind of what you had predicted your expectations to be, but you took a leap and you did something totally different going to colleges that were not even on your radar. Both of you had last minute decisions that you pivoted quickly, right? So when you made those decisions, were you scared? Like, were you like, Catherine, I'll ask you first, when you totally flipped from Boulder to maybe something that was on your list and now all of a sudden you're going to Kentucky not last minute, but it was just like a last minute ad. Were you scared?
Yeah, in a way I was. I was like, did I make the right decision? Because like everyone says don't go based off like how much money you get off of college and like all that stuff. So I was like, if I chose Boulder because like regardless of the money, like would I have had a better experience there? So like that was like my thought. But obviously I think I did make the right decision in the end.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
McKenna,
was scared.
Were you scared when you went all the way to Mississippi from Illinois?
Uh, That's a complicated answer because I think I went in very confident, but I had a lot of like things kind of shape how I felt about the experience, like going into the school. And I honestly just kind of like felt ready. Like I just like knew it was like my time, and I was just like kind of trusting that like the universe had a path for me. like I was just gonna like figure it out as like I went along. And so I think that was like kind of the driving factor. And like my parents were so supportive of my choice to like go so far from home.
That's
And
awesome.
no, I know. And I feel like sometimes, like, when you're the oldest child, like, leaving too, because I'm the oldest, my brother's younger, he still goes to Lake Zurich, but, like, you're the oldest kid and you're the first to leave. So, like, she was just like, I want you to go do this, like, for you. And I just
That's
felt
awesome.
very, very supported. So,
Yeah, because that's not I won't say normal. That's the trend is really now everyone wants their kids to stay close to them. Let's everyone go to Iowa or University of Illinois. If you live in Illinois, let's keep everyone close. Where I think give kudos to your parents for saying go try something new, go give new experiences. You can always come back, right? And but if you
absolutely.
never try those different experiences, you're never going to know what that's like. So I think for a lot of people, everyone thinks it's so permanent if they make a decision. Like if you go to Ole Miss, you have to stay there forever and you never, if it doesn't work out, you never can come back. My analogy to that is think of it like instead of buying a house, you're just renting an apartment. Like if you make a decision, you're renting an apartment, you can always get out of your lease and you can go somewhere else, right? So you don't have to commit and think that you're going to be at this place forever, but make the decision with the short term idea that you have to try it, give yourself time to adjust, right? And then, make sure you understand if that's the right decision for you long term. Instead of thinking about things so definitely, I think people kind of freak themselves out, right?
You sound like
So
my mom.
you guys sound like what?
You sound like my mom.
Well, maybe I can interview her next.
There you go.
What does she do?
So my mom is a Pilates instructor, so
Like, good
she
for
does that
her.
on the side. But before, like, she had me and my brother, she was a full-time event coordinator. She worked all over the
Very
country.
cool.
Yeah, PR marketing
Very
kind of.
cool. So you both have like this unique confidence that most, I don't want to say most, some high school students and college student females, I don't see it too often, right? You took a huge leap. So where do you think you got your confidence from? Like, how do you, because you don't just make those decisions. You both have supportive parents, so that you felt comfortable with that. I think that's a huge part of why some kids have confidence and have they want to take that leap to try something new. But why do you think you both have confidence? You probably don't even think you're confident, but you both are. So I see Katherine rolling her eyes. So I'm going to go MacKenna first because I feel like Katherine doesn't have an answer yet. MacKenna, what?
And she does have confidence, and she does
I
have
know.
confidence. She
I
doesn't
know.
realize it though, and
I
I
agree.
mean,
I
it's
agree.
something you grow into, and, like, I've been very grateful to, like, get to experience, like, watching her, like, kind of grow, like, through dance and, like, the high school experience, because our Poms team was, like, very, very driven, very passionate, cutthroat, like, we were competitive, and so, like, I got to watch her confidence really grow through that. But I will say, I was very quiet when I was younger. I was very, like, follow the rules, very good, do what you get done, stay the same, stay I was very, in my shell, and it's so funny because my mom was always like, "One day you're gonna just blossom into this person, and we don't know when it's gonna be, but it's gonna happen because 'cause you're my kid." And my mom is a very, like, outgoing, outspoken, passionate woman, and, like, I think she set a role model for me growing up, but
Hmm.
my personality was just so quiet, and I think growing up, I went through a lot of, like, female friendship hardships, and I got tired of it. I was like,
Mm,
"I'm sick of being this person that caters to everybody else's needs and gets
hmm.
walked over, and I'm not being rewarded for being a good friend. I'm done." And I really flipped the switch in high school. I changed a lot about who I was as a person, and a lot of those qualities, like, obviously it takes time to figure out, like,
Hmm.
who you are. But I think my confidence just came from realizing nobody's gonna sit there and, like, pat me on the back for, like, being quiet and not speaking my mind. Like, I
Hmm.
would rather just be out there and, like, do what I wanna do, and, like, if there's some sort of consequence for it, then, like, figure it out along the way. But I mean, confidence, honestly, one thing that really stuck with me is that fake confidence is still confidence.
Agreed.
And I think people need to learn that because, like, that's honestly what gets me through life sometimes. It's what gets me roles, it's what gets me jobs, it's what gets me opportunities. You don't have to be, like, so sure that everybody's gonna say yes. Just fake the confidence and just
Fake
hope
it.
that the answer comes out.
And usually if you fake it up front, you figure it out on the back end. Like it eventually comes to you. And it's very hard to get motivated all the time for really hard things. So even the days you don't feel 100% confident or driven, if you fake it, it'll almost like it'll go in your body, it remembers it and be like, oh yeah, I am confident. I'm going to feel it now, right? So I agree with you. Fake it. I tell my daughter all the time, fake it. I don't care on this interview if you're tired, have an energy drink before the interview and fake it. And they have no idea, like what you're feeling, and just come into that as always 110%. So when you go, MacKenna, in high school, you said you kind of flipped of who you were. So it sounded when you described it is you kind of stopped caring what other people were thinking about you, and you stopped making other people happy with the things you were doing. It sounded like you were trying to people please,
Yeah.
and you weren't happy from that. Is that right?
Yeah. It just felt like very unsatisfactory. Like I was always the third person on the sidewalk, if that makes sense. Like
Oh, yeah.
being left behind. And I kind of like realized it was a lot of the people I was surrounding myself with. They didn't value who I was as a person. So I kind of, and I met, when I got to high school, I met like girls who like literally just FaceTimed with like last night. Like they are still some of my closest friends. And I just continued to like grow and evolve from that mindset and just kind of reflect. I'm like, am I doing this for me or am I doing this for other people? And obviously, like, yes, care about people in your life who care about you. Like be loving, be gracious, be kind. But there is a boundary. And I think I discovered that.
So when you flipped this switch, did you meet different friends?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then those are still your friends now, and then did you feel like that gave you some of the confidence that you have today? Yeah, and you got
Yeah.
your happiness from that. So
Yeah.
that's actually very mature to do at a very young age, because I would say a lot of actually adult women, in their 40s or 50s are still doing things to please other people instead of themselves, which is another reason that I'm doing this podcast. All right, Katherine, you've had time to think why you have confidence. MacKenna and I already think that you have confidence. Why do you think you have confidence?
Okay, well, I would say, like, I have confidence probably from all the hardships I had when I was little. Like, I faced a lot of, like, not to get all sad here, but I had a lot of mental illnesses when I was, like, really young. So I was, like, in middle school. And I think going through that matured me so much faster than the average person that then I, like, tried to gain that confidence in myself because I was so much more mature than most people around me. And I also surrounded myself with people that were like me, that had that maturity and that confidence that actually helped me grow and be a better person, which then in return made me more confident. I think that'd be my answer.
That's a good answer. So you built like a resilience you had to
Yeah.
go through a lot of hard to figure out like what you wanted or how to navigate through that. And so then now you have this confidence because you made it through, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to share what mental illness you struggled with or
Yeah.
not?
So I can share it. When I was in 6th grade, I had anorexia. And like that obviously goes along with confidence. Like I was not confident at that time. And that is like I wouldn't say it's one of the hardest, but it's a really hard mental illness to overcome because it's like a lot of therapy and obviously it's like exposure therapy too. Like obviously I didn't want to eat, like whatever. So
Right.
that was hard. I had people around me that are still my friends today, and my parents, obviously, they stuck by my side and they helped raise my confidence and that I would eat, that I would gain that weight, and that I would become like the best version of myself that I possibly
Yeah.
could.
When you didn't want to eat, what did you think? Like, what did you say to yourself in your brain to say, I am not going to eat? Because I eat, like, I always think about that. Like, I could never be anorexic because I eat all the time. And it takes a mind control, right? It's a mind factor of why you choose not to eat. So, what did you tell yourself? Like, how did you control your mind to do that?
And I thought that I associate eating with gaining weight. So like that was like my biggest thing was I didn't want to gain weight. And like I was like so like I have like these like sometimes I fixate on things in my life and like that was like a time period in my life where I like fixated on food and fixated on my weight. And then I ended up losing so much weight that I was like so unhealthy, like at the doctor's once a week. And like so obviously it was like a huge part of my life, but like it shaped who I am today.
Yeah.
I think, like, your mind can sometimes go places that you would never even expect it to go, and at the most random times of your life, and obviously, I was so young when it happened to me, but it can happen to anyone. I mean, it still happens to adults, too, like, adults are
Yeah.
anorexic, too, so, yeah, that's
Why
yeah.
did like what body image were you trying to strive for? Like why did you not want to gain weight or what were you scared of?
I think it was like I was so addicted to like social media and like the images of women on like social media, and also like the transition from like elementary school and middle school, like not having those friends that I had in elementary school. Also, like I just like wanted to fit in, and like that kind of like added to like why it was like maybe if I'm skinnier, if I'm prettier, like then I'll fit in
Got it.
more.
Then you would fit into like
Yeah.
everyone else. So if you have people today that maybe have anorexia or bulimia because they both are control of, your mind and food, what would you tell high school, college, or any woman that is experiencing that mental illness or that eating disorder disease, like how to get help, or what advice would you give them?
I would say that you will overcome it, because the one thing that I would like that I had in my head is that I'll never get over this. Like I'll never get
Mm,
help. But like you have to be strong enough as a person to go seek help. Like go tell someone, and then they'll seek you therapy or whatever that you have to go through. But you have to tell yourself that you're gonna overcome it one day, because then you will overcome it. Like when you have that mindset, you will overcome it. So I would say that.
and just because you ask for help, that's nothing to be embarrassed about
No,
or
no, a lot of
shameful
people.
about. That's
Yeah,
actually takes a lot of confidence to ask for help, realizing that you can't do it yourself. I mean, there's professionals out there that learn how to treat people, right, with mental disorders. So I think that's important to not ever be afraid and go
yeah,
ask for help. No one's judging, and if they do judge, who cares? And they're not your supporter, they're not you friend. Move on to someone else that
yeah,
can support you in that difficult relationship. So you definitely were going through that. You probably went through it earlier in middle school, which is why you had the confidence you had in high school, from what it sounds like, and the resilience that you built from there. So you guys are 4 years apart. You're a senior McKenna in college, and Katherine, you're a freshman. How are you friends? Like that's not a no, like a traditional relationship. Usually you're the same year, maybe a year off, but how are you friends?
So I actually I know her older brother pretty well. We used to be like in the same friend group like in middle school, and like he's such an awesome kid. He really is. And he's doing well for himself too. We still are in contact sometimes. But she joined Palms when
Okay.
I was a junior, right? Or was I a
senior.
senior? Senior
Yeah.
and she was a freshman. Yeah, I don't know
Okay.
why I couldn't do that math. Um,
Hence,
no,
you
I
said you
wanted
didn't want the numbers. You
I
said you didn't want the numbers.
I'm
You
like, I
said
just
it, not
wanted a
me.
cup of coffee. Anyway, so we joined Palms together, and instantly, like, I honestly, like, it kind of just like happened. And I think because like the way with how the team was formed and stuff, there was not everybody who was always dancing. And like, I was also an alternate my freshman year. Katherine was also an alternate, like her freshman year. And I think that was a really hard thing for me to go through. So I kind of was like, took her under my wing, and I was like, wait, I want to help you get through this. Like, I want to help you be a better dancer, because like I know you want to get there and I know you can do it. And I think that's just really where like the friendship formed. And then like we just clicked, and she's such an old soul and I'm also such an old soul, so it kind of felt like I could have those conversations with her, and she could hold a conversation in ways that some of the other girls even my age on the team couldn't hold a conversation. I see a lot of myself in her in like a very positive way, and we've just like kind of like connected that way through like over the years. And even though we don't see each other all the time, because obviously I've been away at school, she's at school now too, and we still stay in contact.
Awesome. And so when you took her under your wing, like dance is in the school you went to is very competitive in dance, and they always make it to the finals in state, right? So when you are all together, even, being an alternate junior year, freshman year, or senior year, freshman year, do you think dance gave you confidence either in high school, and do you carry that confidence in college? And then if you do think it does give you confidence, why? So Katherine, we'll start with you.
If it necessarily gave me confidence, but it was like it gave me discipline. That's what I would
Mm,
say. Because being told you're wrong every single day with when you're dancing, like since we were so competitive, like they strive for us to always be better. So like you never really get that like validation that you wanted. It would always be like criticism. And like you had to like learn to accept that. So I don't know if it necessarily made me more confident, but it definitely did help me grow as a person and like take criticism.
Yeah. I'm kind of on
okay.
the same page. I mean, I was a competitive dancer before I even joined the team in high school. So I think I had like a really great group of people I surrounded myself with like growing up. And like my studio, like I was so passionate about like studio dance. And then I got to high school and I was like, whoa. And I mean, it's just it pushed me. I think a lot of my work ethic does come from being on the dance team in high school, and my coaches, like, I think they had their like, my best intention in mind, but I never really felt like I was enough, if that makes
Mm.
sense. And so, I think that just pushed me to, like, prove to myself as I got older, like, I am valued, I am good at what I do in, like, any area of my life, but yeah, it was a lot of criticism, and winning felt like an expectation, which is why I don't dance anymore.
Hmm. So it's like a mix. You got confidence from it, maybe some discipline from it, but maybe not like the best experience because it was so competitive and you didn't get that validation or acknowledgement for all the work you were putting into it, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of positives, like, I will say Palms in high school was so much fun, it really was. It was just a lot, and I was just kinda tired and drained, and I just
Yeah.
felt like my life was leading me a different direction as I got older.
Yeah. And sports and teams or even clubs or any kind of community that you're in, a lot of the people aren't going to go be that professional dancer or athlete. However, you learn like discipline, Catherine, and you learn to work with the team and you learn different characteristics that will be utilized as you're in your next job after college, right? Those characteristics I think are important to learn. And there's actually a study that a lot of women that are in leadership roles, like executive leadership roles, they actually came from some kind of sports team, and they've learned to understand either to lead or work with people, or I would say they have the confidence, right? Because it is very competitive when you're a female in any profession, especially a leader, and so it's competitive. You learn that competitive. You feel comfortable with that competitiveness because you already experienced it when you were in high school or college. So I think that that's a characteristic that can carry through. Again, why people on previous podcasts, there were some college students that said, I asked them if they could do something over again, what would it be? And they said, join more clubs, join more teams, do more things because you get to learn and meet other people. You get to have different experiences. And again, you're learning characteristics like confidence, discipline that carries you through to make you successful in your journey. So always think about that too. If you're scared to do something, don't think of it like in that moment that you're scared to do it. Pull back and say, and I just said this on the last podcast, but I have the 5 rule. It's the when you make a decision that you're questioning, think about the decision if it would be different 5 minutes from now, 5 hours from now, 5 days from now, 5 months from now, 5 years from now. And then it'll help you kind of pull back out of that moment and that emotion that you're having in that situation. And it'll help you pull it back to think about it a little bit more, higher level versus because sometimes our emotion pulls us down to these very stressful situations where we're making a reaction based on our emotion versus using our logic in our brains when you pull it back. So I've tried that. And even like when I'm deciding, okay, there's a kids event and there's a work event, right? And there's pros and cons to attending both. I always do the 5 rule for myself and I pull it back and it helps me make a decision on the impacts I'll make to myself, my work, my kids, other people in my life in those 5 increments. So that's just something I've done to give it a try.
Food for
So
thought.
if you were to McKenna, you're your senior year in college, I'm going to ask you the same question. For if you were to go back in time and start college again, would you do anything differently? And then maybe the follow-up question to that is, what advice would you give those people just starting out college? Because you're a senior, which is pretty cool, and you've also gone to college like in part of that COVID era too. Although Mississippi didn't have COVID, I heard, but
I was in high school when COVID hit, so I was in
so
my
then,
yeah, sophomore year, but I will say the school was really impacted by COVID. Like
yeah.
my big who I'm like super close with, her older brother went here as well. They told me like Ole Miss was never the same after COVID hit. Like it was the weirdest flip in the school culture, which is really interesting to think about because I only know one Ole Miss.
How did it flip? Like, what did they say?
So Ole Miss, like obviously it's a D1 SEC school.
Yeah,
There's parties and then party culture is like a big part of honestly any
yeah,
college you go to.
yeah.
But it used to be like really more house party, like more people wanted to be friends with each other and
Mm,
like Ole Miss has a weird, I don't know, most people agree with me on this, I feel. Ole Miss used to be like very integrated with each other. Now it's like very boys and girls sometimes don't mix, which is strange to me because like I have the
Mm-hmm.
best group of guy friends from back at home, and I'm like, weird. I'm like, why can't you have guy friend groups here? It's like kind of bizarre. I don't know how to explain it, but just some things just changed in the way the school functioned, which is interesting to me. But
Do you think it's only an Old Miss thing, or do you think that happened for the whole world or the US, right? Because we kind of were isolated for a couple years. And so we learned to really, I mean, we were in our own houses, going to school, going to work, right? We like, it's like you take a community and you pull it apart and you isolate everyone individually, right? So do you think it's specific to Old Miss or if it's throughout?
I mean, the culture of like how people socialize here changed, yes, but I think it might just be a Southern thing. I
Mm,
can't really tell. I can't really tell. That's what I'm like. So I'm like, I don't know. Kentucky might be that way in some senses, but from what I know, Ole Miss is just like totally flipped the script with the way that like socials are and like functioning and like
mm,
third party spaces and stuff like that. So it's been interesting to like hear about from some of like the older grad students too.
yeah. Would you do anything different that going back if you were a freshman?
I think I've actually talked to Katherine about this before too, but I think honestly, I let a lot of coming from a suburb in Chicago and going to like the Bible Belt, obviously, there's a lot of culture shocks that come
Yeah.
with that and a lot of very like interesting, changing, moving pieces. I think I tried really hard for like to make everybody like me. And I just was like, I have to realize that
Which you just told me in high school
yes.
that you did, and then you flipped the switch.
It was the weirdest thing. My mom told me too. She's like, "You like, your confidence was destroyed your freshman year." And I was like, "I have no clue." A lot of girl issues, a lot of, like, just friends and, like, the lifestyle at Ole Miss. I and, like, obviously, some of, like, my friends that I met my freshman year are still, like, my best friends. I live with, like, 2 girls who are my roommates, still close to this day. It's because it is such a big party school, I think I lost a lot of genuinity and, like, who I was as a person, and it felt like a rabbit hole to get, like, sucked into and just be so caught up in, like, social life and, like, who's talking about who and, like, all this stuff, and, like, I would say I had some interests that were not, like, predominantly in the South, like, the music I listened to was different, some of the clothes I wore were different, some of the ways I talked and, like, the things I like to do were different, and I felt myself being like, "Oh, well, not everybody likes this, so maybe this is just something I need to change about myself," and if I could go back, I would just be like, hey, can you just stop and like think for a second? Because there are people out there who have the same likes as you. You don't have to
Mhm,
have everybody like you. You don't have to be the most talked to person in the room. You just have to find people who you actually connect with and fill your cup on a deeper level. And
mhm.
after freshman year, I was like, yeah, no, I'm done. Like I just was I love who I am as a person. And if other people don't love who I am either, then they're not somebody I need in my life. So
It's interesting that you had the same experiences in college and high school with, like, your friends searching and, like, you felt it quickly that it wasn't the right group, and then you switched, right? So it's like you're constantly reminding yourself to stay true to yourself and to make sure you surround yourself with people that you need to be with, because it's easy to when you're especially when you're changing environments, so then
yeah.
your next leap of faith will be going to a job wherever that is, and you're gonna be in a new environment again, right? So be conscious of it might be again where you're like, I'm going to try to fit in here because I don't know what the right thing to do is or the right way to act. But to go back to your two experiences in high school and college is be authentic, be yourself, and you'll have the right people around you to fill your cup, as you quoted, right?
Yeah, I was very blessed to have, like, my friend group from back at home and, like, my boyfriend who they were and, like, obviously my mom who was on the phone with me all the time. But,
Aw.
I think that, like, I had that grounding sense from those people who, like, chose me for me, like, because they loved who I was, and I think that was just, like, a really good reminder that, like, hey, if there's people who aren't treating you the way that, like, you deserve to be treated, snap out of it, wake up, like, you need
Yep.
to just, like,
Don't get
figure it
sucked
out.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, Catherine, what are your thoughts on if you were to go back? high school making decisions, going to Kentucky, or your beginning of your college, you just started there. Would you do anything different, or would you give advice to anyone that's a senior right now in high school, picking a college, probably stressed out about it? And what advice would you give them, and would you have done anything different?
I think with high school, I would have like told myself to slow down because I was trying to do so many things at once with the varsity sport. I was in 10 clubs. I had a great GPA. Like I needed to slow down because I thought that like defined who I was. And I used grades and stuff as validation. So I feel like with like seniors or anyone in high school or even college, like don't let that define who you are. Like there's so much more to you than just your grades and like how much you're participating in. And then for seniors, obviously don't focus on like what everyone else thinks about your college. Like everyone always has something to say about any college, even online. Like I heard so many bad things about Kentucky, and then I love it here. So like don't let that like change your perspective on the college you want to go to.
Yeah. So you both have boyfriends, right? And MacKenna, you mentioned your boyfriend was being supportive early on. So MacKenna, are you still with your boyfriend, the same
Yeah.
boyfriend?
Yeah.
And how long have you been dating?
We've been dating almost in a month. Yeah, in a month. 3 years, but we've been doing long distance since freshman year of college. But yeah, he's been honestly my biggest rock through like everything I've done.
Where does he go to school?
He goes to University of Wisconsin, Madison.
So
So
Mississippi and Wisconsin is very, very far apart.
700 miles.
So we'll talk about long distance relationships briefly. So Katherine, do you currently have a boyfriend?
I don't know
Yes,
the
I do
states.
have a boyfriend. I am dating Christine's son, actually. We've been dating for like 9 months, so not that long, but yeah, I
That's a
do.
long time. And he goes to school where?
At Purdue Fort Wayne. So he's like 4
So
hours from me. Not too
Indiana and Kentucky. So you both are navigating through long distance relationship, but kind of obviously longer and further for you. But Katherine, it's still right, especially being a freshman, and he's a sophomore. Like it's a lot on a student's plate, on a person's plate. So maybe MacKenna, starting with you, how did you navigate for 3 years? Number one, like a long distance. How do you stay close? How do you stay connected? And kind of what would be some tips you'd give anyone that's in a long distance relationship?
So for like 4 years, we carried basically a friendship like over the phone. And I think that's where a lot of like that came into play because we just have been always in contact with each other through calling or texting, FaceTime, like whatever it is. But obviously the shift from 20 minutes away to like planes, trains,
Yeah.
cars, like, I mean, it's a big jump and the distance is very real. I think one thing that like we have both done like very good about is sitting down and communicating what we need and how we need that, because I feel like a lot of times in relationships in person too, the other person can feel like, hey, like I'm giving you this, I'm doing everything, like this is all that like I'm doing for you, but it might not be in the way that that person needs.
Right.
So sitting down and actually talking about like, hey, like, I need words of comfort. Hey, like, can I call you for advice? Hey, can we just talk about this and you just sit there and listen? Actually communicating those things has made my relationship so much stronger. And it was so funny when I first came to school because everybody's like, no way you're going to date an Ole Miss girl. Like, you're like, that's never going to work out. And
That is a thing.
it is a thing. Dating an SEC girl is like, there is this stigma. And you've had it too?
Yes.
Yes, and I'm like, guys, stop. Like, I'm not like running away with some random Mississippian down the road in his lifted truck. Like, it's not happening. And like, I think if you choose to do long distance, you do it for a reason. And for some people, they don't believe that. And I think that's crazy, but maybe that's just me. So
That is very mature that you guys actually talked about ways of communicating and what you guys needed from each other. I mean, that's advice you should probably give to married people at this point, not just people in long distance relationships. So Katherine, how about you? So first of all, how did you make the decision like that you were going to stay in the relationship? And then did it sway where you went to school? So did you have like a proximity where you wanted to stay close enough, or did that not matter? And if it didn't matter, why didn't it matter?
Okay, so I decided to do long distance because I think that loving someone is more than the distance. Carson's my boyfriend's name, by the way, and he was like worth it to me. Like, it's not that big of a difference being in college single and being in college with a relationship. Like, the difference is you talk to someone all the time, you have a partner to lean on. whether it's like, whatever, cut that up. Okay. Like that.
Good. Keep going.
Okay, but I was gonna say, what was your second question?
So when you picked Kentucky, did you decide like, was there, or Boulder? I mean, you were going to go to Boulder.
The
Like, did you
distance, yeah.
think did you make a decision based on where Carson was?
No, I didn't make a decision based on where Carson was because I'm an independent person and he's an independent person and we need to have our separate lives. That's why also I think long distance is so good because you learn not to depend on your partner so much.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. MacKenna, what's your boyfriend's name?
Nick.
Nick. So I agree with you. And what I shouldn't say bothers me because I'm not judging. However, when boyfriends or girlfriends make decisions to go to college based on where they're going, that's a problem because, to Katherine, to your point, you don't have that independence and you're still evolving and growing at that time in college. So it is taking away from you to independently grow and be your own person that I would say in the long run is going to come back to bite you. So take the time for yourself now to build yourself, find what you need to do as an individual, invest in your education or whatever you're doing during these formidable years, 18 to 21. Try new experiences. And Katherine, I think at the end of the day, then if you're, like you said, loving someone, you can do that anywhere. And if you're happy with yourself and your independence, that makes you even stronger in that relationship. So I think I kudos to both of you for being mature enough to navigate through, a long distance relationship. But I think there's a lot of maturity that you both have and a different perspective that you have that makes you successful in that. So congratulations to you both.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
And hopefully you give good advice for people out there that are looking, right, to make the choice of going to a college. Like, try it again. It's not a house you're buying, it's just an apartment you're leasing. Go the distance. If you're going to be with that person, it'll happen, but focus on yourself for now, and then you can be a better in a partnership with someone else.
I think also just adding like a little tidbit, I really think long distance is something that like people should at least experience once. And like Katherine and I are very similar, obviously, and that's where a lot of our friendship stems from. But like choosing to be independent and your partner also choosing to be independent and not having to see each other every single day in order to make a relationship work, it reflects in the way that you live your life. And like you begin to on how to celebrate their successes and your successes, and you still have that unitedness that like obviously because you love each other. So it's just very important to like think about that, like you don't have to be in the same room just to love someone. That's what I take away from it.
That's awesome.
Distance means nothing when the person means everything.
There you go.
What was that again, Katherine?
Distance means nothing when the person means everything.
Are you going to get a tattoo with that on to remind yourself every day?
I'm not sure I'd go that far, but.
Well, both of you, I want to thank you so much for spending time on Root to Rising podcast. You've both been awesome hosts or guests. So again, Katherine going to Kentucky and MacKenna from Ole Miss. I wish you both the best in your education, in your college journey, and then of course in your relationships. So you guys have really been a great example of confidence and maturity. So I would say, I don't want to say I was surprised, but I'm just so happy to see that you're both such mature women. And I don't think you need luck, but I wish you all the luck in your future.
Thank
Well,
you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And it's been so wonderful talking with you too.